Hello, my name is Stefano Conti, and today I'm going to show you how to prepare your files for the Risograph printer we have at Cocovia. There are many different ways to do so, and this is the way I like to do. We first of all have to open our image in Photoshop, can be both a JPEG or a TIFF, it doesn't matter. And we have to open this window that we find under swatches. You will see I prepared this folder that you can download in the link in the description, which mimics all the inks we have available at Cocovia. We need this to prepare our file. I will get to that in a minute. First of all, we have to hit Image, Mode, and SMIC color. We hit OK. So nothing changed, but we go into Channel. We see the channel that composes our image. We need to create a new one. So we hit those three lines and new spot channel. We click color. And from here, we can select one of the inks we want to use to print our image in. So today I feel like using teal and gold, but you can use any kind of color. During the workshop, we're going to print the image in two colors, so please stick to two. I can select teal, and you see the name changes here. It says Pantone 321, but if I change my mind, I can always hit the orange, and it said Pantone Bright Orange. So you select the one you want. Make sure you never change this name, because it's an important information that we have to carry on throughout our process and has to get to the printer in the right name. So I'll stick to teal today. Hit OK and hit OK. So you see they prepared this empty channel, and we need to bring in some information to it. The closest color channel among these, the closest to teal, is cyan. So I'm going to select this, do select all, edit, copy. I'm going to deselect all, and I'll click on new Pantone, and I will do edit, paste spatial, paste in place. In this way, we brought into the teal channel the information from cyan. We're gonna do this for the other color as well. So make sure you deselect, select, deselect. We create a new channel, spot channel. You click color, and today I feel like gold. Okay, and okay. You can play around with other different combinations. So I will bring into the gold channel, I think, the yellow color. So click yellow, select all. I'm gonna edit, copy, deselect, and go down to the empty channel, click it, and I paste in place. And there you go. You can just deselect all the other channels, and we want to delete them as well. So I just hold Shift to select all of them, right click, and delete channels. So you see we are left with this image with teal and gold. But if I deselect the eye, you see it reveals it just two black and white images. So this is very important, and it's correct. Anyway, it looks a bit weird, and it's hard to imagine how the final result will be. Also because the Risograph printing doesn't give you a faithful result compared to the digital image. It's always a bit different, and this is the fun part of it. But still, we can improve a bit the contrast, at least, of this image, I think. So I'm gonna close my swatches that I don't need, and I'm gonna deselect this because we don't need it. So if you hold Shift and you select both of them, then we can go over image, adjustment, and curves. And from this panel, we can select which channel to work on. So if we start from teal, which is the first one, you see I can bring in a bit more teal in this direction. You see how the darker areas get more of the color. So I think I want a bit more there. Of course, you can change around. You can also use this tool, the hand, to select a specific point on the image, and you can move that. We can play a bit also with the gold. See what happens there. You see, kind of takes away all the gold. So yeah, try to do something if you think it's needed. Then with experience, you will know when to edit this, when to leave it like as it is. But I think I'm happy with this result now. So I hit OK, and I'm ready to save this file. So to do so, we have to go over File, Save As, and we need to save this cactus as this type. Photoshop DCS 2.0 EPS. Doesn't mean that it will retain the color separation that we just done with these two channels. And the file will hold this information throughout the process, so it's very important to do so. If you don't find it under Save As, try to check out under Save a Copy. Sometimes it's there. But I found it here, so I'll go on and I'll save it. Make sure these default information are the same on your computer as well, and hit OK. Now the image is saved and we can import it in InDesign. So in InDesign, I just prepared an A4, very simple. And I'm gonna bring in our image. So File, Place. And here this is Set Cactus EPS. Open. And now I'm gonna just drag a simple frame to place it in the middle of the page. Now you see it still looks very weird, even worse than before, but this is how it is. We have to trust this process. It's very important now that we open this window. If you go over Window and Output, and then Separation Preview. View, we turn it on with separations. So you see here is a list of all the inks available in this image. Of course, if I move the thing around, you see that only the values belonging to teal and gold are changing because we deleted all the SMIC channels that we don't need. So I'm gonna do the same here as well to not be confused. I'm gonna turn off these SMIC channels and I'm left with these two. Why is this window important? Because to print this image in two colors, this same sheet of paper has to go through the printing machine twice. The first time it will print just the teal, and then we change the drum of color, we put in the gold ink, we put in again the paper, and we go through the ink color. So it's always a layering of two inks. So you see the percentages there, 91% of ink there, and 91% of ink there, which is quite a lot. And we risk that the paper won't absorb all the ink, we smudge, we smear. So I'll show you in a bit how to avoid this problem. But just keep in mind, try to look at your image and see the darkest areas. If there is any that's very dark and you see almost 100% both inks, it's not that good and we have to lower the value. Whereas if I go on a very light area like this one, you see there's no teal at all, it's just a bit of gold. So we need to change this a bit. If we click on the image and we go in the property panel, you see you have the opacity. And I'm gonna reduce this. Usually you don't wanna go over 95 all the time, but I think that for today, you see the contrast is like lowering as well, but maybe yeah, around 80 looks like good. I still retain the colors, different shades. So I think I will give it a go with these settings. If the proof print doesn't satisfy me, I can always go back and change here the transparency. I'll go back to Photoshop and change the contrast. So let's stay with that. We want to go on now and save this file as a file the printer can read. So we go over File and Print. Now, this is a very delicate moment, so make sure you double check all the settings properly. As a printer, we use a PostScript file. So what does it do is that it postpones the printing process. So we won't get a PDF yet, but we will get a PostScript file that we can open in Acrobat and that we can send to the printer. And this will allow us to retain all the information we put in about the inks from the beginning. So PostScript, and then under this one, you can select any printer you have. I just have Adobe PDF. I'm not sure why, but I just click that. So we want to print all the pages, which is just one in my case. I go over Setup, make sure it's A4 and it's vertical. You see I have a small preview how the final image will be. If I click horizontal, it goes over. So make sure it's right. Scale 100% with proportions. And we want the page position to be centered. After that, we go over marks and bleed. I'm not printing bleed in this image. You see, the image doesn't go all over the edge, so I don't need those information. But I do need the registration marks and the page information. So just briefly, registration marks are those kind of target shape lines. They're very useful because, as I told you, the paper will go through the printer twice. So we have to make sure both times the paper is aligned. So to have these small lines is very helpful. And then the page information will tell us which ink to attribute to which page. Because out of this file, we're gonna get a page to print with teal and a page to print with gold. So this is very important. And finally, in output, we want to change color into separation. And you see that activates this ink list. You see we still have the SMIC channel that we don't need, and still the two Pantone with the relative codes. So we want to uncheck this small printer about the SMIC colors that we have no information about. I want to keep it simple. We just need the teal and the gold, or your two inks that you chose. After this, we're ready to save it. We save it as a cactus. Maybe now it's happy. And you say it's a PostScript file. So we save it. You see now in my folder, I have this happy cactus here, which is the PostScript file. And I go on. I do right click on it and open with Acrobat Distiller. Click it. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And what it's doing is converting this PostScript file into a PDF that now we can look at and send to the printer. This distiller is always embedded in the Acrobat program. Double click on it. And here we have it. If I zoom out a bit, you see we have a PDF containing two pages, 1 and 2. Two grayscale images, because you have to imagine that the Risograph printer is colorblind. So where it says 100% of black, let's say there, the printer will put 100% ink. So to make sure we know which color we are printing in, I like to use organized pages. And you see, it gives me underneath the page information that we put in the settings before, which is the Pantone we selected at the first stage in this process in Photoshop, in the swatches. So now I know that I can print this page with teal and this page with gold. Imagine if you have an image with 4 inks. If you wouldn't have this information, it would be very hard to keep track of all the inks you have to print in because all the pages look the same. And again, if you have a booklet and you want to print in Risograph, you want to make sure all the pages are organized with the right ink. Otherwise, it's still tougher. So there you have it. During the workshop, I will show you the settings to print it with our printer. Thank you.